All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Self-Care Rockstar Show, where each week I invite experts from around the world to share stories and information that'll help you begin and continue your self-care journey. My goal isn't to encourage each of you to become self-care rock stars and to not only fill your cup, but cause it to overflow. If you're interested in courses or programs I'm currently offering, you can go to findsally.com and click on the schedule a call, or email me at sally@theselfcarerockstar.com. I would love to work with you. Today, I am excited to welcome Renee Reisch to the Rockstar stage. Welcome, Renee. Renee is a transformational coach and influencer. She's a 4-time best-selling author of the book Finding Your Voice, Unlocking Your Chains and Unleashing Your Greatness. Renee shares her journey of how metaphoric loss of her voice manifested physically in her health and now supports others in their journeys. So welcome, Renee.
Thank you so much. So great to be here.
I'm happy you're here. This is gonna be a fun interview. So why don't you just tell everyone a little bit about who you are and what brings you to the Rockstar stage and what you do for others.
Well, first of all, again, thank you so much for having me as your guest. I've been looking forward to this interview, so very grateful for that. And I am originally from back east. I know you're in Connecticut. I'm in Southern California. And I was in corporate America for one company for 25 years. And as I was there with that company in 2013, I had an illness that took away my voice. It's similar to the times we're now with COVID, in the sense that I was not allowed to be with the public. The difference is that I was totally isolated. I was not allowed to be out with anybody. So I know even with COVID, some people are around their family, if that's who they've been with all along. But mine was total isolation, because it was a virus that just attacked my vocal cords and took away my ability to speak. So it was one sore that broke out into many. I was hospitalized I was in the hospital. That's different than being hospitalized. I was in the ER twice because the pain was so intense, and I wasn't able to eat or drink or even swallow my own saliva. It was a devastating time. I know there's some out there who know me, and they know I'm a huge connector. I always say that, like waters to a plant, people are to me. And I was unable to be with anybody. And sometimes, our toughest times are also the ones that bring the most resiliency and strength to us. We don't know at the time, because I certainly wasn't spiritual. I wasn't in the same space I am now. But what I did learn is that I've got a much bigger purpose than I ever knew. And it's to help give voice to the voiceless, because I did not have one. I know what it feels like to not be able to speak. I was screaming inside, but nothing would come out. And it was just a devastating time. But now, coming from the other side of it, it's realizing that the metaphoric loss of my voice in life manifested in my health. It was the fear of judgment. It was always feelings of not ever being enough. It was people pleasing. It was being afraid to speak my own truth or disagree with anybody, to have my own opinion, to make my own decisions. Because I felt that if I said something that somebody didn't agree with, maybe they wouldn't like me. That is no way to live. That is just the only way that you're basing your existence is on somebody validating your existence. And that's not good. And that's your self-esteem and all of those things that go along with it. And that was very detrimental to my own well-being, so much so that my own voice was taken not from me, but for me. And so I'm here to give voice to the voiceless in a way that they may not even know they need.
I love that. I love that. So how long were you in pain like that? Was it, days, or was it weeks? Was it months?
It was months. It was
wow,
4 solid months of having a fever, when I say pain in my throat, not like, oh, people have a sore throat, they gargle, they take an antibiotic. This was a viral infection. So the thing that was really devastating to me was that doctors weren't able to help me. And I literally had no idea how to help myself. As I said, I wasn't spiritual. So people say, oh, did you do all this inner work? Did you do meditation? Or I'm like, I really wish I could tell you I did a lot of inner work. I did none. Zip. Because I wasn't in the space I am now. So it wasn't like, let me just think of why this happened or what's really bothering me. Or I was just like, holy crap, I don't know what I'm going to do. And what I wanted to do was leave the planet. I literally wanted to go away for good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I kept waking up each morning, the first thing I wanted to do was go back to bed, because it wasn't even through the night that I would sleep. Sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night in that pain. And the reason I'm telling you I want to go back to bed when I woke up is because I didn't want to feel it. I didn't want to feel the pain because it was so flippin' horrible. But I did realize, like I said, I wake up in the middle of the night. You can't really escape what you're meant to face. As much as we want to, and God knows I wanted to get away from it. That's why I wanted to go back to bed when I woke up. But it was just something that I couldn't escape. I would wake up and I would sometimes, sorry for the graphic, but I would just sometimes just spit it out, just spit out my own saliva because I didn't want to swallow it. So it was from that pain to realize and recognize my purpose. I don't want to talk about the pain and stay in the pain because that's not what this is about. It's coming through the pain and realizing that there is a life out there to be lived. And for those who feel they don't have a voice, who are those people pleasers, who feel they're always being judged and never good enough. And that was on me. You know, you can blame anybody you want. Well, I came from this or this. It's you who's making the stories in your head that you're making your reality, and you're playing the tapes over and over and over until it becomes the story. You're the author, you're the editor too. You're the author of your life and the editor. So whether you are a real author or you're just playing this character that you created in life, you still get the opportunity to edit it anytime you choose to. And I say choose to because sometimes we don't think we have a choice, but we do. And sometimes it's a difficult choice that we make, because if you're a people pleaser, it's difficult. So we'll just do it, just do that. But then when there's other people in the picture, it's not always easy to just do something. So, you know, there's always choices though. And there's, you know, sometimes consequences that come with it, but it's still a choice we have and an opportunity that we have to make every day. And is it something that we are choosing to better ourselves or to better other people in this world? And I say, go for it. You know, I also would suggest doing a gratitude journal and focus on the things you're grateful for. Because I didn't do that. You know, I was just running through life rather than experiencing life.
Yeah. So you said you were in corporate. Were they sympathetic to you having to be away for the 4 months? Did you wind up losing your job because of it, or was it?
No, good question. Really good question. I was on a interesting, the abbreviated term is LOA. It's more than the law of attraction, although I probably attracted that to me. It was a leave of absence. It meant LOA. I didn't know what LOA, law of attraction, meant at that time in 2013. At that time, it was only in my head a leave of absence. And I was on a leave of absence from my job for 4 months. And when I found out, the day I found out that it wasn't permanent damage, I had to go to a vocal specialist to find out if I had permanent damage, because doctors didn't know if I would ever be able to speak again. They thought that it was possible that it had left so much scar tissue because the virus was so bad and it was all over my throat and my cords, that it may have been a permanent situation where I would never speak again. And when I went to the vocal specialist, they had to stick a tube down my throat. And in my book, I write, that's not exactly how I anticipated getting onto the big screen, but that's how I got to the big screen that day in that office. And I got to see my vocal cords on this huge screen with 2 doctors probing my throat with an instrument to see if I had permanent damage that had been sustained from this. And when I found out there wasn't, I was sent to a vocal coach. to help me regain the use of my voice. To your question, the answer was no. Thankfully, they didn't let me, you know, they didn't end my position. They didn't let me go from that. But it was about a year before I fully regained the use of my voice. So even
Wow.
in my corporate job, it was very difficult to speak.
Wow. So how did you transform from your corporate job to what you're doing now? Because you're not doing that anymore, right? You're just totally doing your coaching and helping people. So what caused you to leave your corporate job and start and become an entrepreneur?
Well, I was released in 2017 after 25 years. I was released. And I say the word release because it was a release for me. It was also a devastating time. I fell into a deep depression when I had the illness because I didn't know what I would do. You know, I was just barely existing. I didn't want to eat or drink or anything, as I mentioned. And I fell into another depression when I was released from that position because I had done so well in that position. The thing is, Sally, I knew I wasn't meant to be there. I didn't leave for the fear of not knowing what I was going to do afterwards. I knew what I knew and did what I did. I could do it with my eyes closed because I had done it for 25 years with one company. So what I did do is I went to look for another retail position with another company. I said, if I could do this, I could. It's not what I wanted. Quite honestly, I did not want to go back to that kind of position, but it's what I knew. So I'm like, at least I could do this. And I couldn't get hired. That was the universe knocking on my head saying, are you kidding? We took you out of this. We put you in this pain. And now you're trying to go back to this. You've got to be out of your head. And apparently I was, because I went to several companies and I couldn't get hired anywhere because I'd been so successful. They said, why do you want to even work here? I'm like, oh my God, now what?
Yeah.
And what happened is I met a gal who's a really good friend of mine, Tamara Hunter, at an event in Los Angeles. And she ended up taking me to all these events she was going to. And I started networking and meeting people. And, you know, I met Linda at Sunshine West, who I see on here also. And, you know, you meet with people. And I'm a connector. So I started going to different events pre-COVID. I was just going to a lot of different events, meeting a lot of wonderful influencers and great people like Forbes Riley and you know, just wonderful people. She actually endorsed my book. She was one of the gals. And then Shavon. So, you know, gotta love Forbes. If anybody doesn't know her, she's definitely one to know. And Linda actually endorsed my book as well. Linda Sunshine West, so grateful for her. So it's just meeting amazing people and continuing to grow your network and of influence and expand. So it's really a big part of it. So here's the book. It is called Finding Your Voice, Unlock. Before earlier you said unlocking, which is interesting. You said unlocking your chains and unleashing your
Did I
greatness.
say unlocking?
You did, and that's interesting. You said that, but I'm going to tell you that was the initial name of the book, Unlocking Your Chains and Unleashing Your Greatness. Yeah. So it was something. Interestingly enough, Forbes actually had me change the real subtitle was a little bit different. It was a completely different name, and she had said I needed to change it. I didn't know what she, you know, thought I should call it, but I changed the name, and this is what came to me. So it's Unlock Your Chains and Unleash Your Greatness. Yeah, it's a book that I recommend, not just because I wrote. Obviously, it's an author is going to recommend their own book, but the reason I'm going to recommend is because at the end of each chapter, I have what's called a takeaway section, because I didn't want to just write a book about what I went through, my experiences. That's great for me, terrific. But how is it going to impact and affect you in your own life, in your own journey? And so what I did after each chapter is I have 3 to 4 line pages for you to literally write your answers to the questions I pose, which pertains to the chapter you just read. And in this way, through the power of my words, I'm able to use my voice through writing the book. And for that, I'm truly grateful.
I love, yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, actually Forbes is responsible for this whole thing that I'm doing.
Amazing. We need to tag her on this. We're gonna have to tag her on
That's
this.
it. Yeah, nope. She during COVID, I was she came out with the her book and she was asking for people to contribute to a chapter, and I raised my hand and said I wanted to do it. And then I'm like, all right, now I'm in this book, and she got all these other people to be in the book with her. And I was like, well, I can't just, be this little woman in Connecticut with no voice. I gotta
Right.
come up with something. So so this whole thing was birthed because of that book.
That's fantastic.
And Linda too. Linda's
Yeah.
been a
Oh,
big,
amazing, amazing women, amazing influencers. So yeah, so that's what it is. And from the book, and now I also do a coaching course. I do a group coaching course. My next one is starting August 23rd. And so I invite people to come in and join that. They can go to reneereisch.com. And my book is on there, and my course is on there. It's not a DIY. It's not like a sign up for a course, because I figured people could have DIY this thing called life by themselves. We would have done it a long time ago. And I know, as much as I want to do things on my own, when it comes to, the inspiration and the motivation, sometimes you need other people with you. So I'm right there. I am with them 6 weeks, and we go through this together, because that's how we get stronger. And you're rising together, you're empowering and uplifting. And that's why I created a course like that, a group coaching course. And so I have that. I also do one-on-one coaching. So, and I have the book, which, as I said, it's also in Barnes and Noble. It's on Goodreads. It's also, I'm just really proud of it. It's also registered in the Library of Congress. So
I purchased it last week and I read it. So I loved it. I loved it. So it was a really, for anyone, just pick it up and read it. It's a real easy read, a fun read, and a lot of great tidbits and information in there. So I love that.
And thank you also. You did a beautiful review on Amazon for me as well. So I saw that. Thank you so much for that.
Welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
So now you talked about a little bit how you didn't have your faith back then, but you have it now. Now, did that transition occur because of your illness, or was it something that just transpired over the last, 5 or 6 years since?
Yeah, great question. So the faith, I have my religion, but I wasn't spiritual. I used to think spirituality and religion were the same thing, because if you have your religion, you believe in God, then God is in heaven. Then I could not be more off than that. It completely not the same thing. So the faith, yeah, it's funny. My hashtags that I post every day on social media, on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And one of my hashtags was finding your voice, of course, but it's trust, faith, and believe. And it's faith is not only having faith in a higher power, but having faith in yourself and belief in yourself. And one of the words in the word belief is L-I-E, is lie, B-E-L-I-E. It's also the lies that we tell ourselves that we start to believe as truths. And it's only because we tell ourselves that same story over and over again that we start to see. And then we say, you see, I told you. Well, you kept thinking it, you kept playing it, you kept writing that script, and you never edited it to say, what if I do this instead? What if the definition of insanity, doing the same thing, expecting a different result. You get up and do the same thing every day and think, I wonder why things aren't changing. Well, if you're rereading the same chapter over and over again, and you're not really tweaking it to where you need to tweak it, then you're going to have the same result. So, I think that's a big piece of it. So faith was really not having faith in me. I always had a belief in a higher power. But the belief starts within. What kind of conversation are you having with yourself? They're not good enough. I can never do it. Look what she's doing. She did this, she did that. He did this, he did that. Don't look at other people. Look at where you are in your own lane and how far you've come. Something also about this book, it becomes evergreen, because when you get the actual book, I do have an ebook too, but when you actually have the physical book, you can look at where you wrote your answers and say, how did I answer that question on 8/8 of '01. This is a very empowering day. So, the 8/8 is that portal that opens things up for you. So when you look at the book and you can see how did I answer it on this day in, August 8th of 2021, how am I going to answer it 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years? It doesn't matter. You're going to still see how you evolved, and you see, wow, look where I was then and look where I am now. And that's a big piece of life that we don't give ourselves enough credit for how far we've come. We just see everybody posting on social media. Oh, well, look at them. Look what she did. Look what he did. No, I shouldn't post this. That's, or they only post. What about all the backstory of where you've come, how far you've come and where you've come from to where you are now, and give yourself the atta girl or atta boy instead of waiting for the outside validation to move forward.
Yeah. Talk about, being your own best cheerleader. I mean, most of us, a lot of us just knock ourselves down and are just very mean to ourselves, say mean things, our own self-bullying.
Absolutely. And the thing I'm going to add to that, actually, that's a really good point. It is our own self-bullying because, a lot of people were bullied in school. I actually had that happen in school when I was a lot younger. I don't really talk about it, quite frankly. So a lot of people that may be hearing this are saying, what? I really don't even talk about it on a lot of the interviews, but you just said the word bullying. And I put up with it because I thought, well, that was my own self-esteem. If I'm being bullied, I guess people feel I deserve it, or else I wouldn't do it. I never did anything that I felt deserved it, but other people did. And I was afraid to stand up.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff stays with you until your adulthood. And then you got to break free from those, unlock your chains and unleash your greatness. Those chains were my own chains.
Yeah. Exactly.
How many other people out there are bound up in their own chains, but they have greatness, and they have greatness inside of them to be released. And they're afraid to. They're stifling their own voice because they're afraid to speak up. They're afraid to say about how they really feel. And part of it, my group coaching that I had the last time of the round I went through, people started literally breaking through those beliefs and letting themselves, free yourself to be yourself. But we don't. We're afraid.
Yeah.
We're so gosh darn afraid to free our own voices.
Yep. In fact, I wrote a chapter for Linda's in a collab book with Linda that's coming out in September, and I write about being bullied in junior high school. And it was really hard for me to write even as an adult, and really hard for me when I wrote it and I sat there looking at it and I was getting ready to send it off to Linda, and I stopped, and I was really afraid to put it out there because I had never told that story in public. I had never told anybody about that. I never even told my parents or my family.
Yeah, I didn't really talk about it either.
Mm-hmm. And it's something that, and so I was like, you know what? And Linda always talks about facing your fears, go,
Yes.
even when you're afraid. So I just closed my eyes and I hit the send button, and now it's out there. And she made a video about it and everything. And I'm like, oh, geez, here we go. But it's,
yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said that with her on the line. She's going to say, hey, you're next. Oh my gosh, Linda. Yeah, I don't talk about this. And the one with the voice doesn't talk about being, I was. I got my chair kicked under the desk and I throw it into my locker. And I don't talk about it. And I probably should. So I'm sure Lynn's going to be, Renee, we're doing a live. Get ready. You're like, oh no.
There you go.
But she's right. She says, not only do it anyway and do it because of it. People only know you as they know you, but when you tell stories that you've experienced, stories about your experiences, then people are like, oh my God, I did too, or I also feel this way, or, she's, it's really, all about the voice. And that's the thing I don't talk about. It's like, I got past it, but did you, did I don't know. It's like, there's a part of you. It's like, I thought you were going to tell me you started crying when you were reading it. I wouldn't be surprised if you did. Yeah. Because it's like, wow.
And you know what? I think And I think about that and I said, you know what? I think though that experience made me stronger. If I hadn't been through that, I wouldn't be the person that I am today, who is outspoken and says, I don't give a crap what people say about me because I'm just going to be who I am because of that experience that happened. And I think that we a lot of times put too much emphasis on the bully and not enough emphasis on being resilient, the victim being resilient and having tools to overcome being bullied.
Yeah.
And stepping out and saying, you know what, I'm going to show them, and using it as fuel to get your life together and to do something important with your life. I mean, that was the whole reason why I started a Bible study when my daughter was getting ready to go into 6th grade. I was like, you know what, I don't want her to go through, I want her to have a safe place so that she has some place to go if it ever happens to her. And it didn't. And it was funny because she says, Mom, none of that ever happened to me. I don't know why you were so worried. I said, yeah, you know what? But it happened to a lot of the other kids that were part of that program, that because of what I did and because of what me and this other group of women did in putting this thing together, I think we turned around some of these children that were going through some really tough times at that point in their lives.
I'm sure you did. And I'm going to say something also with the course that I created. It's a voice blueprint course. And it actually it's exactly what you're talking about, why you created that. We create things where you see an opportunity, a gap, and you want to close the gap. So what I did is it's a voice blueprint. So it's V is vulnerability. So first week we work on vulnerability. O is ownership, owning your voice. I is inspiration and igniting that flame within you and being inspired. And C is courage, having the courage to use your voice. And E is empowerment. So each week we go over one, and then I have another program that for people that just want to go into one of those letters and work, through that. But definitely the first step in it is doing that voice blueprint to go through those weeks of that. And that's what it is. So I encourage people to contact me and, to sign up and enroll. As I said, it's coming up August 23rd. It's a few weeks away. I got a special running on right now too. So please contact me, reach out. And then if you're not interested in group, you want one-on-one, I'm here. I am here. I have a voice. It's here in a much stronger way than ever before. And I'm so happy to be able to share it with others and use it to help fuel other people's fears. And, help walk through my own, because we're still on a journey, right? And we're still here to empowerment and to empower others, inspire others. And that's what it is: impact, inspire, and empower. Those are the 3 words I put on my clubhouse room that I do. I run a clubhouse room too, every Tuesday at 9 Pacific, 9 a.m. So that's what it is. And as I said, it's here. It happened for me for a reason, to help inspire, impact, and empower others on their journey. As my best friend in heaven, she's watching over me now, as I know my father is also in heaven. And she was my rock in this physical world. And I know she's here with me. So I'm grateful for that.
Now, you had talked a little bit about your gratitude journal. Do you do that?
I do a gratitude journal. I'm going to say that I was better about it, about a month or so ago. And then I started getting sidetracked by other things. So I'm always going to be honest. But before I go to bed, I give thanks. If I'm not writing it, I'm actually in gratitude. So I do it. If it's not before bed, then it's during my meditation in the morning or afternoon. I always am in gratitude. I recommend writing it down. I'm going to be better about that again because I'm talking about it right now. So if I'm preaching it, I better do it. So, but I do always give thanks every single day. And I say, 3 times, thank you for what I've been given. Thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity to interview with Sally, for having Linda on here. I see there's a Gownie Romy in here also. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the opportunities that I have every day, that people who are reaching out to me for things, and that I'm able to reach out to others to support them in their different things that they're doing. It's all about giving back and supporting and helping others. And that's what this life is about. It's support and
Absolutely.
giving back, giving, serving, and sharing. And that's through the power of our words, through our voice, however we can do that. That's what it's about, putting people in touch with each other. I am a connector, as I said earlier on, so I connect people with different opportunities as well. So yeah.
Now, are you a writer? Do you, do
You
you
know
write a
what, interesting, as you talk about the blog, you think, oh my gosh, here we go.
We were talking earlier about writing a blog. I mean, is that something that you know,
So I
and
am.
what's nice about writing a blog is eventually you can take those and make them turn yours into a book later on. So
Interesting you asked me that, because so every day, so I was also saying that I post on social media. So I've got a Finding Your Voice. It's a private group. People are welcome to reach out and join it. And I certainly welcome people there. And I also have a Finding Your Voice business page. But in the Finding Your Voice group, what I have is I post on Instagram. If you look on Instagram and you look me up, I'm at Reisch Renee, and it's on Facebook, it's Renee Reisch. And my website's reneereisch.com, but LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, all social media, Clubhouse, all over. But what I do is I make a post every day. And on that post, I always write content. So if you go on Instagram, you'll see, or LinkedIn, you'll see, I always post content. I don't just put it, because I love quotes, but I don't just put a quote. I'll put something about that quote, and then I'll hashtag Finding Your Voice. And then the last 4 or 5 hashtags, I put trust, faith, believe, never give up, and be you. And then I put best-selling author Renee Reisch. But in between those, I do other hashtags that pertain to the content that I post. Just like in my book, I did the chapter, and then I did like I made a title. Where am I? A title, and then I did a quote, and then the content that went to the quote that went to the title. So you know, it's really interesting because I wrote this book. I was at my mom's house before. It was after my dad passed, and one day she said, "Do you want to watch?" She had taped the Today Show with Hoda and Jenna, and I'm like, "Okay, that's fine." So I go on my dad's recliner, and then Jenna Bush Hager starts talking about her book in the month club. I'm like, "What?" If you look at the first chapter, who is the quote by?
There you go.
Her grandmother, Barbara Bush. Jenna was not even on the show when I wrote the book. And then there she was. So I'd like her to be able to see. I tried sending it to the Today Show, but it came back to me at 30 Rockefeller Plaza. So I realized it had never been open. I sent one to Hoda and to Jenna. So hopefully at some point they'll be able to get the book again. I still have what I sent to them. I autographed the book and I wrote them a letter. And then I got it into Barnes and Noble and Aliso Viejo, California also. So I know there's more greatness to be had by it. I'm grateful for the opportunity that I had to write it and to put it out there, to put my voice onto paper in this way. So I'm just grateful for so many wonderful opportunities, and grateful to you, Sally, for asking me to be on your show and to share our voices together.
Yeah, no, this has been fun. I'm so glad you're here. I want to open it up. If Linda or Rami are here, if they want to ask Renee a question, just feel free to unmic, or you can put your question in the chat and I'll ask it.
Hi, Rami.
Hi, Renee.
Hi.
I loved your story. I don't have any questions, but I just want to shower you with all kinds of love just for being able to push past all those experiences and to just come on here with such a bright smile and just the inspiration you are just to move forward is really beautiful.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. That is so kind of you. And wow, I appreciate those words, and I receive them with love, as I know that's the manner in which it was spoken.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much. I actually feel that. Thank you so much.
Good. I haven't read the book, but I plan on picking that up.
Oh, I will. Yeah, I will put the link. You can go into my I'll put the link in the chat to my website. You can click on that. Yeah. There it is. There you
Great.
go.
And it'll be on the video here on
Oh,
YouTube,
hold
and it'll
on.
be in the email I sent. Did you do it right?
Hold on. I wrote it wrong. Hold on a second. I think I put too many H's in there. There we go.
It's hard to sell a book that way, Renee.
Yeah, well, we're gonna fix it right now. There we go.
There it is.
That'll be much easier that way. So you could go right onto my website, and there's a link to Amazon to get it right there. Yeah, and the course is there too. So yeah, everything you want to know is there. And please feel free to reach out to me. You can email Renee at reneereisch.com is my email. And just put in the subject heading voice, so I'll know it's about this. Something, if you want to talk to me, please put that in the subject headings. You can go there too.
Will do.
We love to connect with you, Rami. So sweet of you to say those beautiful words.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Renee, for being my guest. My name is Sally Green. I'm the self-care rock star, and I will see you next Sunday. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Bye. Good night, Sally. Good night, Renee.